Then do you want to make me the host?
Okay, and if I make you the host though, we should still be able to. Well, we'll see what happens. Let's
I think we'll
the...
still be streaming on Facebook.
All right, I'm gonna make you the host, Sid.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. We the attendees are coming in so they can hear us. Just wanted to let everyone know. And we're live on Facebook. So welcome, everyone. I want to introduce you to our team. Kieran is going to kick us off and moderate today. And we have Sydney, Xander, and Dana, and some other folks are off video at the moment. Great. And we should be joined by Congressman Raskin, who has a really tight schedule this afternoon. So I ask you all to bear with us, but when he pops in, we're going to turn it over to him because he can only join us for a few minutes.
Hi, everyone. We'll start shortly. We'll just wait for a few more participants to trickle in. We'll get started momentarily.
You lose. Oh, okay.
Hope everyone's doing well. Like I said before, we're just going to wait a couple more minutes just to make sure everyone gets logged on, everything's sorted out, and then we'll get started.
Oh, we see.
Hello.
Great. Hi. Thank you for joining.
There?
Yes. Can you see us? So we're great. This is great timing. We were just about to start. So.
Well, hey, Senator Will Smith, Tababu, David Moon, Gabe Hours. Well, the stars have come out for Mayor Kate Stewart. Check it out.
Great. So Kieran, do you want to just say start and we'll turn it over to Congressman Raskin?
I'm just going to say hi for a second. Hey, Lori.
Sounds good. So thank you everyone so much for joining. Welcome to Kate Stewart's mayoral re-election campaign kickoff. To actually welcome us, I'd like to ask Representative Jamie Raskin from Maryland Congressional District 8 to kind of kick us off.
Kieran, thank you very much. And hello to, I think we have several Democracy Summer alumni who are working on the Kate Stewart campaign, including Bridget, who I think is out there someplace. And hello to our whole D20 delegation, David Moon and Laura Charkoudian. I saw Senator Will Smith. There's Tom Hucker, Tababu, Gabe Alvarez. The stars have clearly come out for you, Mayor Kate Stewart. And I've got to get back to my Judiciary Committee meeting, but I wanted to just pop in to say hello and to congratulate you on all your amazing hard work. And I think I sent you a note about this one night, but every night when I'm driving home after having a long day fighting with Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and these people, I always think about how wonderful it is to come back to the free state of Maryland and the city of Tacoma Park, Maryland, which has been such a stalwart bastion of progressive values and equality and freedom for everybody through this tough period. So thanks to you, and thanks to all of you guys for what you're doing. And it makes me happy to see everybody. Hello, Senator Will Smith. Hello, Janelle Wilkins. I don't know if you're out there.
No.
But thank you, Mayor Stewart, for your great devotion to our city.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time today.
Totally my pleasure. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much to Representative Raskin for those kind words. I know we've all appreciated his residency in Tacoma Park. So once again, thank you all so much for tuning in. We're so excited that you're here with us today, virtually as it may be. As you may know, today marks 100 days until Election Day, which is why we could think of no better day than to launch Mayor Stewart's re-election campaign. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kieran Coach McCabe, and I'm a resident of Tacoma Park in Ward 6. I'm a rising sophomore at American University and the former and inaugural chairperson of the Tacoma Park Youth Council. During my time on the Youth Council, I worked with Mayor Stewart and the rest of the City Council to share youth perspective on key city issues and increase youth engagement in our community. One of the things that I absolutely love about Tacoma Park is that 16 and 17-year-olds can vote in our municipal elections, as can non-citizen residents. Both of these groups contribute greatly to our community, and it's so important that their voices are heard in our elections. And if you're a member of one of these groups and you're not registered to vote, please get registered. Your voice and vote matter so much. Mayor Stewart has been such a strong leader, especially when it comes to inclusivity such as this in our city government, and I know she will continue to make that a priority. Before we hear from the mayor, we have some fantastic speakers lined up this afternoon, from local politicians to activists, and I'm sure you're all ready to hear from them. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Montgomery County Council Member Gabe Albernaz.
Thank you so much, Karen. And it really is an honor and privilege to be with all of you. Buenas tardes. I am just been blown away by Kate's leadership, and I have gotten to know her well, not just over these last 2 years in elected office, but prior to that as the director of the recreation department in the county. And we speak frequently, and her passion for her constituents, her passion for the issues of the day always comes through. But what is truly remarkable about Kate is that she matches that passion with action. She knows how to build coalitions. She never compromises her stances on issues, but knows how to be pragmatic and move complicated issues forward. And I actually got a text message from my colleague, Councilmember Nancy Navarro, who is in the audience, and wanted me to recognize how much we both appreciate Kate's particular attention that she pays to our immigrant community. Over the last 3 years, our immigrant community has been under siege under this president. And it's because of local leadership, such as Mayor Stewart, that we have been able to maintain here at the local level a strong partnership with our community. And so we need her leadership now more than ever. She is brilliant on the issues, but also is such a great collaborator and partner. And so I could think of no better place that I'd rather be right now this afternoon than supporting her. Her leadership represents the kind of leadership we need in Montgomery County now and moving forward. And I look forward to supporting Kate in whatever she decides to do moving forward, because that leadership truly is profound. So I'm proud to call her a friend, and Tacoma Park should be proud to call her your mayor. Mayor Stewart, here's to another successful campaign.
Thank you so much, Council Member Albernaz. I know that highlighting the immigrant community that Mayor Stewart has helped is definitely very important for all of us to recognize. So next, we'll be hearing from another County Council Member, Tom Hooker.
Thanks so much, Kieran. It's always hard to follow Gabe Albernaz, but I'm out of town and very relieved that I could find some working internet, because I definitely didn't want to miss the opportunity to weigh in support of my friend and colleague and a terrific advocate for the city. Let me just, I know we have a lot of speakers. Let me give you 3 reasons from my experience why I think Kate does such a great job as mayor. One is, first and foremost, Kate, job one for any mayor. She's a persistent and a tireless advocate for the city. And I'll give you a couple examples that folks might not know about. One is she spent years working with me and some of my colleagues to fight for a full-time paramedic that's now at the Tacoma Park Fire Station. That took years to build consensus that became the #1 request from the city to the council. It was happening at a time when we were cutting fire response times in other areas. Our overtime budget is blown year after year. We have a real structural problem, and really nowhere were we actually adding new personnel. But we actually added new personnel in Tacoma Park that's saving lives every single week, and that would never have happened without Kate's tireless advocacy on that issue. She also, of course, fought to keep the pool open at Montgomery College for years, much longer than people expected, as long as possible. This year has been fighting and working so closely with Gabe and with Lorig to get testing going in Tacoma Park, even ahead of other areas of the county. And with the rec center open now and the pop-up testing there, we're testing 450 people at a time. And we're testing the right residents, our Black and brown residents who maybe don't have a primary care provider and are on the front lines as essential workers and need access to free testing with no insurance necessary. And Kate has stood that up and made sure that's happened. She's also been working with other mayors to fight for CARES funding for the city to make sure, because the city has done so much on the front lines to work with residents that are in need, they need to be reimbursed. And Kate has not only been burning up the phone to my office, she's been working with other mayors as well and had them meet with me and the council president to make sure that Rockville, Gaithersburg, Tacoma Park, and our other municipalities are going to get reimbursed because of all the work that they're already doing. But her faith in the process led her to put the money out to begin with and then worry about the reimbursements later. Not everybody would have done that, but she saw residents in need and she delivered services not knowing whether the city was ever going to get paid back. We're going to make sure that happens. And the way she advocates really matters as well. Some elected send us a letter and then they're done. They sort of phone it in. That's not Kate's style. Kate not only sends the letter, she testifies in person, she sets up delegation meetings, she comes to Rockville and meets with colleagues individually and lines up the votes to make big things happen. Second, her work on racial equity and housing, I know not everybody is familiar with, it doesn't get the headlines as much. I serve on the board of the Metro Washington Council of Governments with Kate. She's a real leader there, not just in Tacoma Park, but is a real leader in our whole metro region, including Virginia and DC. And over the last few years, she's consistently pushed the board to take strong positions on racial equity and the establishment of regional housing goals, positions that ended up much stronger than the staff recommendation at the beginning, all because of Kate's advocacy on both racial equity and affordable housing. And finally, she's a terrific advocate, a very effective one for individual residents. And she's constantly in touch with all my staff and me for residents that need emergency food assistance, rental assistance, help from the county in many different areas. She's always there. She's always accessible. She's always able to, you can reach her obviously 24/7, and she knows she can reach all of us 24/7 because she's so well respected. So those are the main thing I wanted to say. I just also wanted to say her approach to advocacy matters as much as the subject matter, because she is always committed to engaging residents as their own advocates and engaging them where they are, seeking out the views of so many people who are excluded from conventional public service. Sam, thanks. Sorry. And I've personally benefited from the lunches she sets up with the mayor, where I can meet with residents and learn what's on their mind, usually in corners of Tacoma Park where previous elected officials rarely went. And that really matters, but that's Kate's style. So that's a long way of saying we need to keep Kate in the mayor's office. She's put up with a lot. We're lucky she's willing to serve, but the city is much better for her service. And especially during a global pandemic and a historic recession, there's nobody we need more than Kate Stewart. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Hooker. I especially, highlighting Mayor Stewart's advocacy during COVID-19. I know that's been on everyone's minds right now, and I feel very, very safe, knowing that she's my mayor. So thank you so much. Next, I'd like to welcome Maryland State Delegate Janelle Wilkins from the D20 delegation.
I don't know if we have to, if our host, Sydney, needs to give Delegate Wilkins the ability to speak. And so I think, Sydney, you need to give Delegate Wilkins, turn on her microphone and camera. Maybe we could go to Delegate Charkoudian and then, or Delegate Moon, and then we'll come back to Delegate
Absolutely. Wilkins. Yes. So we'll come back to Delegate Wilkins, but if Delegate Lord Charkoudian, also from the D20 delegation, would like to speak, we'd be happy to hear from her.
Great, thank you. Well, it is absolutely an honor to be here, speaking both as a resident of Tacoma Park and as a state delegate representing this community and the broader District 20. It's my honor to endorse Kate Stewart as in her re-election bid as mayor of Tacoma Park. And I want to tell some secrets about Kate. I've got lots of secrets about Kate. I'm just going to tell a couple of them today, and you'll have to get with me later if you want the other ones. But I think really what I want to highlight is the things that Kate is doing behind the scenes, because I think we can see her clear advocacy at city council meetings. We can see her clear advocacy when she goes to Annapolis, when she goes to Rockville. And there's not a question in my mind about that advocacy that everybody can see. So I'm not going to focus so much on that. I want to talk about the things that I've had a chance to see that are happening behind the scenes. And I want to start with climate. As folks know, Kate worked really hard recently to pass a visionary, to work with her incredible colleagues on the council and to pass a visionary climate legislation for Tacoma Park. One piece of that legislation was the community choice energy bill. And so it would have been very easy for Kate and the city to just say to the delegation, go pass the community choice energy bill. We need that. And they certainly did that, and we worked very hard to do that. But Kate also worked really hard with her colleagues, the mayors, the Democratic Mayors Association of this region. She invited me to meetings. She educated them. I see some of them on this stream here. They clearly also really value her perspective and her leadership. She worked very hard to get mayors across the region, both to understand the legislation, which is a somewhat complicated piece of legislation, but also to support it and to weigh in with their delegations. And we came surprisingly close this year to passing the bill, and that had to do with the work of Mayor Stewart and others in this area. And it was a real fight of grassroots groups against corporate entities that wanted to keep that power from our communities. And so it was a really amazing thing to see, an amazing thing to be part of. The second thing I want to highlight is in the housing equity area. And this gets a little bit geeky, but there's a lot of nuances in the way that our tax system and our property tax system and assessments are done that further years and centuries of racist redlining and property values for white people and disparities between property values for white people and property values for people of color. And there's a lot of nuance in this that I won't get into, but I just want to highlight that well before the New York Times was writing stories about this issue, Mayor Stewart was looking into why there were disparities in certain neighborhoods in Tacoma Park, doing the research and writing budget language that I then took and worked with her on to get put into the state budget so we could get SDAT to really look at this issue closely and get more data so we could start to address these one of very nuanced ways that racial disparity plays out in our property tax system. And it's a work in progress, but again, I think it's something that she saw, she's been working on, that probably the vast majority of folks had no idea was either happening, nor did they understand her work on it. And then finally, I want to highlight some of the work in terms of COVID. Our council members have already discussed this, but I've had a chance to see Kate really working behind the scenes in conversations with county leadership. But early on, she and I started talking about our concern about housing and multifamily housing during this time, and the fact that the county didn't have any guidance for landlords in multifamily housing. And she was spending a lot of time reaching out to people in multifamily housing in Tacoma Park. But because so much of the rules around this are governed really by county law, she was looking to the county to provide more guidance. And finally, she just wrote the guidance, and she and I worked together to write the guidance and gave it to the county, which the county, I'm happy to say, was smart enough to take and just stick on their website and make the rule that they then required landlords to follow. But again, I want to just highlight this because Kate didn't turn around and send out a press release saying I wrote that. She just turned around and then promoted that amongst the landlords and within the multifamily housing here. And I think it's really important for people to understand how much work is happening behind the scenes on behalf of residents of Tacoma Park, for equity in Tacoma Park, for equity and policies that can then be replicated and for the planet. And I'm so grateful to work in partnership with you, Mayor Stewart, on all of these things. And as a resident of the city, I'm grateful to have your leadership. Thank you so much. And thanks for letting me be part of this.
Thank you so much, Delegate Charkoudian. Definitely, it's so important to recognize that, Mayor Stewart is really always working for us. So we're going to go now to Maryland State Delegate Janelle Wilkins. I believe all the technical difficulties have been worked out.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone out there is doing really well. It's Delegate Janelle Wilkins here. I'm actually on the move right now. So I'm sorry I'm not stationary, but I wanted to make sure I logged in and took a moment to really share my appreciation and my support and my endorsement of Mayor Kate Stewart. Something that is really important to me is her collaboration and her inclusiveness. She makes sure that she takes a look at who is not at the table, who are the most vulnerable residents, the ones who might not be as vocal and need our support and our advocacy. And she is always always pushing on issues, whether it's the eviction issues that she has made sure she's worked hand in hand with our delegation on, dealing with just cause. The city has been a major champion on that well before we have this current eviction tsunami that we're expecting to take place. She has been working with us in Annapolis to address the issue of housing for a long time. And even more recently around policing issues, around COVID-19 and testing. She has time and time again really shown that she's willing to step up and collaborate and work with us around a number of different issues. So I wanted to really just share my support, and then I'm looking forward to doing everything possible to help support our mayor, Kate Stewart, and looking forward to working with the elected officials and the constituents who are on the line. So thank you so much, Kate, for everything you do.
Thank you so much, Delegate Wilkins. I know definitely inclusivity is such a foundational aspect of Mayor Stewart's platform. So thank you very much for highlighting that. Next, we'd like to hear from State Delegate David Moon, also from the D20 delegation.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. David Moon. I'm also a resident of Tacoma Park, so I too am happy to endorse my mayor for re-election, Kate Stewart. So like many of you, I've probably had way too much time alone with my thoughts. And I've had a lot of time to reflect on governance and what role I have. And, one of the most frustrating things is that as one of 141 legislators, we find ourselves with strong opinions and one vote, but not full say over many issues. And so when I look down the road at the city mayor's office, and I am not at all envious about the mountain of responsibility a job like that comes with. And so, we have a lot of strong feelings in the state and in the city. And I would say I have the fortune of waking up most days and feeling like the people I represent, at least in Tacoma Park, mostly agree with what I'm trying to do. But when you get to the city level, you're talking about very intimate things. My street, what, the future of my walking and transportation and what it looks like, how many people are there, who's there, and not everyone is going to agree on these things. And so at the city level, it's just my opinion, but I tend to think that having a good manager of a conversation is as important as the process and the outcome here. And our city is so unique with such a wide range of incomes and nationalities and backgrounds that I've been thrilled to see Kate Stewart out and about at events at different corners of the city, inviting me to events, and as others have mentioned, exposing me to people I wouldn't have otherwise met, and perspectives from the city that I wouldn't have otherwise encountered. And believe me, we are heading into very tough budget and fiscal times. And so we need a strong ambassador, not just for the city, but for the most marginalized within our city, because they're the ones that are going to need help. So let me just echo everything everyone's been saying about my belief that our mayor looks out for those who are worst off within the city, the ones least likely to show up at our meetings and send in emails. And so, I think we'll be well served with a few more years of that. So Kate, I'm happy to re-endorse you as a delegate and as a resident of Tacoma Park. So good luck.
Thank you, Delegate Moon. I say time and time again how important local government is, and we're really seeing that it's important now more than ever. So thank you for mentioning that. Next, we'll be hearing from another member of the D20 delegation, State Senator Will Smith.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for being here. I want to say I like these events because although we're all physically distant, events like this help us feel a little less socially distant. So just thank you for taking some time to spend and listen to some folks speak and support our mayor. I'd also like to thank Kieran and Bridget for bringing us together and organizing. So thank you both for all of your hard work. I'll just be quick. I'll echo the sentiments of the D20, my D20 teammates and colleagues, and then obviously the council members that have gone before. When Kate moved with John to Tacoma Park in 1995, I think it was, she quickly became known as an activist and a brilliant and a genuine person. So when she ran to represent the city in Ward 3 in 2014, and then just a year later ran for mayor, it was no surprise that she got overwhelming support and that so many people showed up to back her. And she's delivered on that genuineness and that thoughtfulness and that collaboration and inclusivity that we've been speaking about on the call so far. Two examples come to mind, and I know that Tom talked a little bit about this, and so did Lorik. But the two examples that come to mind for me that I deal with in my committee are police relations, some of the racial issues that we're dealing with, and then also housing falls under my committee. And no one has been better and more attentive and more responsive to addressing some of our racial wounds than Mayor Stewart. Frankly, before Freddie Gray and before George Floyd, Mayor Stewart has been working on the ground in Tacoma Park to help bind some of those wounds and to improve relationships between law enforcement and communities of color. And so one of her first initiatives through a recreation department was to focus on that youth development and mending those wounds and developing those relationships. That's really innovative and something that she was proactive on. And so from someone that deals with that on the state level and as a person of color, it's been fantastic to work with you in partnership, but also I'm really appreciative of all the work you've done, not in the midst of a national crisis, but because it was the right thing to do and you identified it early on. Also, with respect to housing, Delegate Charkoudian talked a little bit about this, but my committee deals a lot with housing. And as soon as Mayor Stewart came into office, she got, and this is part of her appeal, I think, to me, was that she took her position and she gathered experts from all across the country, from all across the state, and from across the city to look at problems of housing disparities and develop some solutions. And there are three tangible things that came from that. The Affordable Housing Reserve, the Home Stretch Down Payment Assistance Program, and then I think most recently, the Housing and Economic Development Strategic Plan that's going to help us with a roadmap moving forward. So just with housing and with police reform and police relations and race relations, I just want to say thank you for your leadership on that. It's been great to work with you in partnership. And then on the personal side, you've been a great friend and a tremendous, I think, mentor, frankly. And you've been teaching all of us at the state a lot of lessons, right? A lot of the things that happen in Tacoma Park, we can then replicate at the state level, or at least try. And so for so many things, I just want to say thank you for your leadership and your guidance, frankly, to the state delegation. So then I'll end with this. My last announcement before I guess we turn it over to Tababu is that I know this is it's a kickoff. We've got 100 days, but then it's also partially a fundraiser. So I'll say this, I'll match the first $1,000 that comes in for this fundraiser. By the time we finish this up, if we can get $1,000, I'll match it. That's the maximum. I think that under the new campaign finance laws in Tacoma Park, that's the max that someone can give, but I will match that. So whether it's 10, 15, 20, $100, everything counts. We all depend on support from our communities, and our mayor is going to need that support. So please donate at KateStewartForTacomaPark.com and donate. And with that, I'll just wrap up and say to Jamie, to Bridget, to John, and to Kate, thank you all for your dedication to our community, and thank you all for just being fantastic people in our community. So thank you, and happy to re-endorse you, and good luck on the campaign trail.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Senator Smith. As you mentioned, next we'll be hearing from Tababu, a longtime member of our community.
Hi, everybody. Great to be with you on this space. First, let me tell you, I call our Mayor Kate, this is a joke between the two of us, on every email, my dear beloved mayor, and I'll tell you why. She is so for three important reasons. But let me qualify it by saying my presence in my community. As many of you know, all of you on this panel are my friends. I've worked with you on so many levels, and I see the participants. I'm a great, proud resident of Tacoma Park. My wife and I are connected to you on so many levels, on so many issues, just as an activist, trying to make this place, this wonderful place, better for us, so we can shine a little light in Tacoma Park. The declared common good, the declared willingness to tackle life together, even though yet a lot has to be done. That declaration for community, that declaration for unity is very profound. I've lived in 8 countries and over 20 communities. I've never seen anything like Takoma Park. That said, there are 3 important things. The first are very profoundly important to me. Number 1 is presence in our community. Everywhere I go, whether it is Zoom, event, Mayor is always there with a burst of energy and a beautiful smile, willingness to tackle any issue we have that can make our city a better place. That is very, very important. If I don't see you in my life, if I'm so connected on so many levels, and if you're not present in that space, you're not worthy of my vote. That's number 1. Number 2, passionate commitment to be servant of the people. You know, this is, sometimes I think it's, you know, divinely given, a calling. I see it. That's a mark of a leadership to me. And we have so many of you in this city, from Jamie to Lorig, Will, all of you have been, it's been a blessing to work with you. So to serve, Tom over there, to serve, to be a public servant, driven by that desire for as a purpose, as a calling. Those 2, passion and commitment to be a servant of the people, and the divine connection to serve. Those are 2 important things to me. The third, of course, is politics. You know, mayor has to represent each and every one of us in the city. So in the art of politicking, there has to be a lot of compromise, a lot of consideration has to be you know, taken into an account. So in that, I want a leader that is inclusive, fair, firm, and intelligent. It's not because the average of our consensus has to be respected and has to be deliberated on our behalf. So on all those issues, she is number 1 for me. She's inclusive, she's fair, and she's firm, and she knows the subject matter intelligently. So those 3 things are very, very, very important, and she scored high mark on my scale. And I'm going to support her, not because I like her, because she's committed to the issues I stand for, especially now, post-COVID. We're all in the position of service, and I trust my mayor can bring her lot. As much as I'm expected to serve, she's there to work with me, and I represent a community that's underrepresented for a lot of reasons, you know. I am the only voice, but I carry a whole lot of loads. And I try to do my best with a few other folks. And I see a rising stars coming too. I see Gannet and the participants. I'm so proud of you, Gannet. So that said, for post-COVID, we're all in the position of service. We have an obligation and a responsibility to serve the greater good. As an activist, I am very proud to say she will deliver for my issues. And let me leave you a personal note. When we lost Wagene as a mother of 4, the first person to be victimized by COVID, the mayor was with me for 10 days on a daily basis, talking to several media groups to bring the story out. And I was so proud the story was heard. We gave interview to 5-6 news media. She was with me talking. I was reaching out to my community. I'm very proud to tell you, in 7 days, we were able to raise over $270,000. That's why my mayor is a mayor. She's present, she's active, she's committed, and she's gonna deliver for me because I'm committed to the issues that I'm committed to, and she's a best ally for that. And thank you for attention. Again, I'm a proud resident of Takoma Park.
Thank you so much to Babu. And definitely something that you mentioned that really resonated with me was this concept of servant leadership, which I hold very near and dear to my heart when looking at the leaders that are in my community and in my life in general. And, you know, Mayor Stewart has truly, truly embodied that. So now we're going to hand it over to Bridget, who will be giving a very lovely introduction so that then we can hear from our wonderful mayor.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bridget, and I want to introduce my mom, Mayor Kate Stewart. So she is one of the most hardworking people I know, and I can't wait to see all the work she will do in her next term. I'm so happy to be working on her campaign, and I'll introduce you to the rest of the team in a second. But first, here's my mom.
Great. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you all for coming today, or rather logging on. I'd much rather be in my backyard with all of you in person, but I think, as someone said, at least being able to see and be with you all today is great. I just want to thank the speakers. I am so humbled by all of your comments, and honored to work with each and every one of you. We have incredibly strong activists in our community. I know we're also joined today by Doris Duarte in Hampshire Towers and Lunch and Learn. Mary Jane Machui is with us from POSNA. And, you know, just having all the people here and the leadership at the county and state level, and have Congressman Raskin here, has been terrific. And I do want to thank also my colleagues across Montgomery County and Prince George's County. And Nancy Navarro, thank you so much for your leadership right now and joining. And it's been a real honor to work with you on the Council of Governments board. Ryan Spiegel is also with us from the Gaithersburg City Council, and where we've gotten to work together on Maryland Municipal League actions. And Denise Mitchell from Prince George's City Council. Thank you so much, Denise, for joining us today. Denise and I work with Mayor Slavin from Somerset, is also on, with the Democratic municipal officials. And we have our other mayors from Tacoma Park, Mayor Kathy Porter and Bruce Williams are with us today. So I'm just kind of overwhelmed by the turnout, and just thank you all for taking your Sunday afternoon. Many of you who are with us today have been with us since we started this journey. And as I have said many times, this is really one of the best and toughest jobs I've ever had. And the last few months have really been a testament to that. It's been an opportunity for us to take a hard look about what we've been able to do and accomplish over the last 5 years, and also see what we need to do in the future. And as we come here today, I ask you not only to join us over the next 100 days till the election, but really to keep working with us beyond that. We have a great deal facing us right now, and we need to all work together. We have a strong progressive foundation we built over the last few years, and we have the opportunity to make the transformational changes that we need. I've learned over the last 5 years that there are small things we do every day to change our community, to make it more livable for people. And then there are the big challenges we undertake and we need to address. From changing our streetlights to LED, or taking down racist neighborhood watch signs from the 1980s, to delivering food or securing testing for COVID-19, to fundamentally shifting how we address public safety, to taking on climate change. These are all things that we've been working on. I've been working on in the city. Sometimes they're all things I work on in one day. And we want to continue to do this work because lasting change, real change, isn't just nibbling around the edges. It is changing how we function, how our city government functions for the people who live here. And what I found most important over the years is having the courage to take on the tough issues and have the tough conversations. And I make a promise today that even though I'm a bit more tired these days than when we started this journey, I am no less committed to being bold and to having tough conversations. Whether it's about policing and public safety, climate change, or housing, I am committed to continuing to be mayor of the city. I want to continue to be mayor because I believe that we can change how local government functions so it best serves those in need. We have made progress and laid the foundation, and we can make these additional changes that are needed. As State Senator Smith talked about, one of the things I am most proud of is our housing work we've done and working on our home stretch down payment assistance program. And I'm glad to say that this is a place where our housing work and our racial equity work really intersects, because we are looking at tackling the generational wealth gap that exists in our communities and our country. And I'm happy to say that we had someone just close on their home on Friday who was able to benefit from the down payment assistance program. And this is one that we want to continue and make sure reaches even more people. We need to really think about, when we're making these changes, how we shift community engagement and really center the experiences of those who are most in need and impacted by our policies and programs. And this means that we need to go beyond just putting out surveys or holding meetings at our community center when we can do that again. It's about really thinking about creating participatory partnerships. And so two things I really want to advocate for, if I'm fortunate enough to be mayor again, is first and foremost to move forward and have a chief equity officer in the city who can advance our racial equity work and work in partnership with the great work that our county council has been doing under the leadership of Nancy Navarro on racial equity. I've been a strong advocate on racial equity in our city, adopting a racial equity framework, training our council and our city staff, members of our community committees, but to really have racial equity baked into all our decisions and the work we're doing, and to be held accountable. Have our staff held accountable, have our council held accountable, and our residents. I believe we really need to take this to the next level and have a chief equity officer in our community. The next thing is putting in place participatory budgeting. This is something I know some members who have joined us today on our call I've been working with over the last couple of years, but really moving forward to having a process in which community members get to decide how we spend part of our city budget. This is a practice that's been done around the world, and I think we can do it here in Takoma Park to really create a stronger, more equitable government. And these changes, having a chief equity officer, putting in place things like participatory budgeting, these will help us accomplish our larger goals as we're looking to address the impacts of COVID-19, advance the goal of becoming a fossil fuel-free community by 2045, and reimagining public safety. In all of this work, we need to center those most impacted. In particular, when it comes to policing, I know my colleague, council member Siemens is on the phone as well, and I truly value the work that he has done over the years, and I look forward to working with him and council member Searcy as we design a task force and a way to look at public safety in our community and make real change. I also want to thank Mary Jane Machui's on the call today and Gabby Nugent, who are two people who have taught me so much about what it means not only to advocate on behalf of, but with people who have special needs. And thank you so much for your leadership and all your guidance you've given me over the years. This is a moment for the city to not only rethink how we do things, but to really take on big challenges. And I'm looking forward to doing that work together. I'm excited about the opportunities we have before us and confident in the foundation that we've put together over the last 5 years that we can face the challenges together. So right now, I am also super excited about the campaign team that we've put together here. So I'm going to turn it back over to Bridget, who's going to introduce everyone.
Okay, great. Okay, so I just want to quickly introduce everyone to the rest of the campaign team. We have Dana, the campaign manager. We have Barbara Griffith, the treasurer, and you guys heard from Kieran. We also have Murat, Xander, and Sydney. We're all super excited to get to work and hope to work with some of you over the next 100 days and beyond that. If you want to get involved, get a yard sign or get a bumper sticker, you can email katestewartfortacoma@gmail.com or fill out the form on the website, which is katestewartfortacoma.com. Also, everyone, please remember to register to vote and tell everyone you know to register. You can go to the city website right now, and there's information and links to where to go to register. So thank you all for coming. Go register to vote and vote for Kate Stewart.
Thank you so much, Bridget. I do know we have a few minutes left for maybe some Q&A. So if you do have a question for Mayor Stewart, feel free to type it in the chat, or there is a Q&A function, so you can type it in there. And just to reiterate what Bridget was saying, don't forget to register, donate, engage with your community members, your local government. Local government is truly so important now more than ever. So I believe we might have a question.
Great. Nice. Do we have questions in the Q&A? Let's see.
I think they're in the normal chat.
Oh, in the normal chat? Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Let's see. I know Troy Jacobs had some questions. Sydney, do we want to just see if Troy wants to ask his questions? Great. And also, I just want to say thank you again to all the speakers. And I know it is a Sunday afternoon, so if people have to drop off as we answer questions, I completely understand. And I so appreciate your time today, particularly as I know some folks are, trying to get some relaxation in on a Sunday afternoon. So Ariel asked, can we reuse old Mayor Stewart yard signs or should we get the new ones? Please reuse, recycle, reuse. And if you have really old yard signs that still say 2015, we will have stickers to go over that. So we're all about reusing. And we do have bumper stickers this year because we also realized that there's Bridget showing the bumper stickers. We also realized that we were probably not going to be able to do, as many in-person events, and absolutely the festivals and other things, unfortunately, where we usually gather and talk, like our folk festival and our street festival will be canceled this year because of COVID. So, but we will be holding more Zoom calls and other things. And if there are people who they know, if you belong to a certain group or neighborhood that have want to dig into issues that are very specific to your neighborhood or specific group, we're happy to do a Q&A session with you.
Troy
Yeah.
to talk now if he wants to ask his questions.
Great, Troy.
That was Troy. Can you hear me?
Yes, Troy, we can.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Can you see? Hopefully you can't see me. I don't know. I had posed a couple of questions to Bridget or Kate and that was with the idea that you wouldn't have to answer all of them. You could choose which one you wanted to answer. And you've answered some of them in part. And so one of the questions, though, that I had posed in the chat box was, at this time, do you know that you have competition? And if so, who is that? The questions that I had posed online, one of them related to racial equity, which you touched on. Where I live in Tacoma Park, I'm in Ward 5 in Long Branch, Tacoma Park. And so I am very interested in the issues that affect Wards 4, 5, and 6. And so I think that you've touched on that, and I'm confident, given all the people that are on this call today that have spoken already, one of the critical things is the issue of partnership. And you have demonstrated that by being able to bring these people, recruit them to your effort. And so, but there was another question that I had posed about the use of technology, because at some point we will be past COVID.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when that will, and we've learned to use different types of technology. Like today, we've got the Hollywood Squares, presentation of us. But when we're past that, reflecting on what you're wanting to do in terms of improving racial equity and improving access, do you have thoughts about the use of technology by city government and city council to bring more people into those meetings? Because it's underrepresented in terms of the city if you look at the diversity and who is actually able to go. So I'll leave it at that. You can answer any of those questions. Over to you, Kate.
Great. Thank you, Troy. And thank you very much for joining today. Maybe I'll answer the last one first because I remember that one best. In terms of technology, we've already started talking with the city staff about ways that when we are able to meet again in person, how we can incorporate more technology like Zoom calls. It has been remarkable since March and doing our council meetings by Zoom, actually how well things, knock on wood, of course, have been running, and particularly the participation that we've been able to have. I think one of the things that we've struggled with over the years is particularly people who are caregivers, whether or not you're caring for small children or you have older parents or other people you need to caregive for, coming to the city building is really can be very difficult. And so it's been really nice on our Zoom council calls to actually have whole families give public testimony on an issue and to hear from a range of people in just one household. So I think we're definitely looking into that. At the moment, I am doing individual meetings with each of our committees, our city appointed committees, as we're looking at how to put in place better processes for recruiting city committees, and almost each one of them says they've really benefited by having more Zoom calls. So we're definitely going to look into that, more of that technology. In addition, as you can see, we have Crystal with us, who is our ASL interpreter today. And it allows us to do a lot more in terms of accessibility for our meetings for members of our community. In addition, I've been working with our housing department and doing Zoom calls and conference calls with multifamily buildings since March, and having interpreters in Amharic and in Spanish, particularly on those calls. And so we're doing a lot more of that. I think for the city government, we've been wanting to do more, but this crisis has really forced us to be much better on these issues. In terms of I know you had a question about the different businesses, and I see Carter Doherty asked what we can do to support small businesses, especially in the Tacoma Langley neighborhood. I'm going to say this is an area that, Councilwoman Searcy and I have been working on, and having Samira Cook Gaines, who's our economic development manager, who started with the city about 1.5 years ago, she has really done a great deal of work in this area. I know Councilmember Hucker talked about before the mini grants program we put in place in the city. And one of the reasons we did that was because we knew Old Town Business Association was doing a lot to support the businesses in Old Town, but we really needed to support our businesses throughout our community. And so we started the mini grants program specifically to help businesses in wards 4, 5, and 6 that tended not to get that support in the past. In addition, I don't know if Delegate Wilkins is still with us, but in the last legislative session, we worked with her and our whole D20 delegation to really lift up the needs of businesses in the Crossroads area because of the impact of the Purple Line on their businesses, and now with COVID-19. A number of people mentioned when we were able to do it, the lunches that we've done in the Crossroads area. We started doing that when the Trump administration came in, and we realized that given the actions being taken by people, especially in immigrant communities, a lot of the businesses were losing business. People were not going out, going to the restaurants, going to the shops. So we had a concerted effort to really be out there and highlight those businesses. And so I think one of the things is please continue to go to the businesses, do takeout for food and other things, and really think about how you can support those businesses in especially our wards 4, 5, and 6. Let's see, Tababa wanted to talk about the local economy and how you're growing. So I think, I don't know if we want to turn it over to Tababa for a second.
I'll make it quick. One of the powers that we have beyond the city limit, one of the power that we have in our city is our purchasing and investment power, and especially our local economy. I know Delegate Lorig is working on that. Michael Schuman has written a book called Put Your Money Where Your Life Is. So as a mayor, Have you thought about creating a movement to make sure that we invest, we pull our investment dollars from Wall Street to our Main Street to beyond the city limits, because we are a powerful, we're a powerful city. Our influence can impact much more Tacoma Park. So have you thought, or are you planning to start a local economy, local investment, encouraging our residents to leverage the power of their investment and purchasing power to grow local economy beyond Tacoma Park? Thank you.
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, I think that, the work that you're doing, the work that Delegate Sharkutian is doing, those are all things that we have to do. And I think COVID-19 really does show us the importance of being local and supporting our local businesses and across the board throughout our city and regionally. And so I look forward to continuing those conversations, and absolutely, we need to do that. I think David Blockstein had a question. Thanks for your leadership on the Sustainable Climate Action Plan. How do we move forward on implementing the plan, given the urgency of the issue, but the challenges of outreach in the current environment? Thank you, David, for that question. One of the things, it was actually the very last thing the council did right before COVID-19 was to pass this really forward-looking and ambitious Sustainable Climate Action Plan. And we had a lot of plans to hit the ground running this spring and summer, again, with doing a community engagement to put this in action. And we're still going to do it. I actually just recently had a meeting with our sustainability manager to rethink how we can reimagine some of the community outreach we're doing. Again, I want to talk about Samira Cook-Gaines, who is our economic development manager, because she has been putting in place a community engagement process around our New Hampshire Rec Center that has moved forward using some very innovative ways to engage the community, even under COVID-19. So we want to look at that and take some lessons learned about how we can move forward with our climate change work. In addition, I'm very glad this last budget was hard. It was a very hard budget. And I am glad to say that I fought for, and we kept in not all, but most of the money that had been allocated for this work. So I think now, as we've shifted how our government works, we've tried a couple of things in terms of community engagement, and now we're ready to begin this work in earnest. And I really want to say too that I see the Sustainable Climate Action Plan as something that looks at our fight on climate change and intersects with our equity work as well as our housing work. And so we want to think about this holistically, especially as we're looking at the impacts of COVID-19. And I think that's it. I think that's all. And we're at 3 o'clock. And I just want to say thank you. It has been amazing to work with each and every one of you. It's been a very difficult few months, but I think the partnerships that we've been able to build and the foundation, not over the last few months, but over the years, I just want to thank you all, and I look forward to continuing working together. So have a great day. Thanks.